Good day guys, welcome to another YouTube video from Exam Bonus YouTube channel. I enjoy you guys to subscribe to this YouTube channel, like our video and comment wherever necessary. So today we are going to be discussing 24 WAEC Agric practical specimen. Before I go straight to the point, if you have any inquiries you want to make on the 2024 WAEC, you can visit our website at www.exambonus.com or WhatsApp us at 0903-234-7323. So we are going to be discussing 2024 WAEC Agric practical specimen in this video. I will start with identification of the specimen. Specimen A is ranging pole, specimen B arrow, specimen C measuring tape, specimen D wooden peg, specimen E dry sand, specimen F dry clay, specimen G dry loam, specimen H maize weevil, specimen I bean beetle, specimen J grasshopper, specimen K cotton stainer, specimen L tilapia, specimen M hay, specimen N fish meal. So in this video I'm going to be linking the questions that will come out in your exam, or should I say the probable question, the question that you should be expected. So we are going to discuss expected questions you should expect in your WAEC Agric practical exam. So let's analyze this specimen before I start mentioning some questions. A normal question you should expect in your exam is identification of specimen, which we have done already. So in the exam, your specimens will be labeled by your teacher and you'll be told to identify them. So they will label them A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. So you are the one that will be identified as what? As ranging pole, as arrow. So if you look at specimen A, B, C, D, they are all surveying tools, or you can say surveying equipment. Ranging pole is a surveying equipment, arrow is a surveying equipment, measuring tape is a surveying equipment, wooden peg is a surveying equipment. So now I want to discuss about ranging pole. So I'll be talking about ranging pole. So looking at all these surveying equipment, the most common questions that will come out to exam is either they tend to describe, give a detailed description about the specimen, the uses of the specimen, and the maintenance practices of the specimen. So let's start with ranging pole. So if you are told in the exam that, let's say your question AII is give a detailed description of specimen A, your answer should be specimen A is a surveying tool that is straight. You should know that your ranging pole is what? Is straight. So in the exam, don't say ranging pole is straight. You say specimen A is what? Is a surveying tool that is straight. You don't need to mention the specimen while answering the question. So your answer will be specimen A. If you are told to answer the question of give a detailed description of specimen A, your answer should be specimen A is a surveying tool that is straight, round, it is a round rod or pole, and you should know that it has a pointed metal tip. It is painted in alternating band of color such as red and white. It is usually about 6 meters long. So you'll be told to give a detailed description of your specimen, and what I've said is what you should do. If you are watching this video, you can get your jotter and your pen so that you can be jotting down vital points. It is very important. So let's go to another question. So I've given you the detailed description of specimen A. It is a straight round rod or pole. It has a pointed metal end. It has alternating band of colors, which is usually red and white, and then it is about 6 meters long. That is the description of a ranging pole. Then another question they can ask you in the exam is you should give uses of specimen A, that is uses of ranging pole. One of the uses is it is used for marking stations. Another use is used for making straight lines, for marking straight lines. Another use is it is used to mark points that need to be visible from a distance. So specimen A is used to mark points that need to be visible from a distance. Then another important question you should know that they can ask under specimen A is the maintenance practices. I will tell you some common maintenance practices. In this Agric practical exam is one of the simplest practical exam because maintenance practices for most tools and equipment are usually the same thing, just that if the instrument does not have a metallic part, oiling of metal parts will not be part of the maintenance practices. But if it has a metal part, oiling or greasing of metallic parts will be part of the maintenance practices. And let's take the maintenance practices. Number one maintenance practice you should know here, you should clean the instrument after use. You should clean specimen A after use. Another one is that you should store it in what? In a dry and cool place. Then you should sharpen the metal end. I already told you that it has a what? A metallic end. So you should sharpen, that is sharpen, S-H-A-R-P-E-N, sharpen a metallic end. Then another maintenance practice is you should oil or grease the metallic parts. So when I was talking about the description of the ranging pole, I told you it has a what? It has a pointed metallic head. So that metallic head is the part that you grease. It's also the part that you sharpen. So another maintenance practice, or should I say precaution, is also part of maintenance practice. If at all you are told to mention more than 4 maintenance practices, the instrument should be handled by a competent person. That is also a maintenance practice. It should be handled by a competent person. That maintenance practice I gave to you under ranging pole still applies for arrow. It still applies for the arrow. So you should use the same maintenance practices for what? For ranging pole and arrow, because arrow also has a metallic head. So moving on to uses of specimen B. So I want to talk about the uses of specimen B. It is used during chaining for marking off length chains. That is your number one uses of arrow. Another use is it is used for marking stations. It is used for marking station. Another use is used for marking point of intersection. So I've given you 3 uses of arrow. Number one is used during chaining for marking off length, used for marking station, and is used for marking point of intersection. So I already told you a common question in the exam you should be expecting is the identification of a specimen. That is the bonus question. So I'm going to be talking about specimen C, which is our measuring tape. A very common use of measuring tape is used for taking measurement of length, height, or breadth, or distance. That is number one uses of specimen C. Another use of specimen C is it is used in determining the right angle triangle during farm layout. So during farm layout we usually determine the right angle triangle of the farm. So a use of measuring tape is that it is used in determining the right angle triangle during farm layout. So I'm going to move on to another question that they can ask under specimen C, because we are still under specimen C. Maintenance practices of specimen C. I already told you that most of these tools, they have the same maintenance practices. Number one maintenance practices of measuring tape is that store in a dry, cool place. Another maintenance practices is you should clean the instrument after use. Another maintenance practice is that retract the tape slowly after use into its case. You know the way our measuring tape looks like now. So after using your measuring tape, you should retract it. You should return it slowly inside the case. So I've given you 3 maintenance practices of specimen C. Number 1, store in a dry, cool place. Number 2, clean after use. Number 3, retract the tape slowly after use into its case. Before I forget, there's another important question. They can ask you that you should give a description of specimen C. That is your measuring tape. Your description should go like this. Specimen C is made up of plastic with a flat circular case made up of metal into which the tape is rolled into after use. So the description of measuring tape is very, very simple. It's made up of plastic with a flat circular case made up of metal into which the tape is rolled into after use. So that is a very, very short and detailed description of specimen C. So I want to give you the description of specimen D. That's another question you can be asked in the exam. It is a wooden rectangular stick with pointed edge to aid stocking into the ground. You know, if we are talking about wooden peg, those wooden pegs are usually stuck into the ground. So it is a wooden rectangular stick with pointed edge to aid stocking into the ground. So it is the pointed edge we are stocking into the ground. That is the description of specimen D. It is a wooden rectangular stick with pointed edge to aid stocking into the ground. So it's made of, the material is wooden. That is the description. It has a pointed edge that is the description. So the other parts are not necessary. What you should know that the wooden peg is what? It is rectangular, it is wooden, and it has a pointed edge. That is 3 points. So that is 3 marks. Then another question under wooden peg, they can ask you that you should state 2 uses of wooden peg. It is used for marking points. That is number 1 uses of wooden peg. That is specimen D. Used for marking points. Another use is that it is used for tying ropes in making straight lines. So when you want to make straight lines on the farm, you can use specimen D to tie ropes. So I'll give you 2 uses of specimen D. Use in marking points, use in tying ropes in making straight lines. Then let's go to question number 2 of your Agric practical, specimen. So your question number 2, you'll be told to identify specimen EFG. So you'll be given those soils physically. It's through the colors you can be able to distinguish and the way the particles are, the texture of the particles. So you'll be given dry sand, dry clay, and dry loam. So the question will go through an experiment. I will not talk much on that. So you'll be given an experiment. So it's through that experiment you derive question from that experiment. So the experiment will not be a very hard experiment like that, just a little experiment. The setup might be there already, so they'll just be asking questions based on the diagram in the question. So let's go to identification of specimen HIJKL. So looking at specimen HIJKL, before I go there, let me say something more on specimen EFG. So we have different experiments when we're talking about soil in Agric. You can be told to determine the percolation rates. You can be told to determine the organic content in the soil. You can be told to determine the water, the absorbing rate of water of the soil. So there are different experiments they can ask you on specimen EFG. Those are just soil basically. They can tell you that you should differentiate between specimen EFG in the tabular form. The tabular form might be there already. So I want to move on to specimen HIJKL. So question they can answer under specimen HIJKL, number 1 is identify the specimens. So after identification of the specimen, specimen H is maize weevil, specimen I is bean beetle, specimen J is grasshopper, specimen K is cotton stainer. They can ask you to state the economic importance of each of these specimens. You should know that all of them have the same similar economic importance, except for cotton stainer, which is not a food, but it has a similar economic importance with all other ones. So let's take specimen HIJ into consideration. A common economic importance of all of them is food shortage, due to destruction of the food in which they attack. Specimen H attack maize, so food shortage due to destruction of what? Of maize grain. Specimen I attack beans, food shortage due to destruction of what? Of bean seeds. Then let's focus on H and I only. So another economic importance of H and I is that destruction of seed viability. When I talk about seed viability, we're talking about the potency of the seed, the way the seed will germinate, the viability of the seed. So if pest infests those grains, the viability of the seed will be reduced. So another economic importance is what? Destruction of seed viability. Another economic importance is reduced market value and loss of income. So if the market value of the grains are reduced, if the seed or the food, if the maize grains are having holes, the bean seed are having holes, when you get to the market, you will not like to pay a huge price for something that is having holes. So it will reduce the market value and also reduce the income of the farmer. Another economic importance of maize weevil and bean beetle is reduced quantity of yield. When pests infest those crops on the farm, the yield of the crop will be it will be reduced. The quantity of yield will be reduced. Another economic importance of maize weevil and bean beetle is increased cost of production. So how can maize weevil and bean beetle increase cost of production? In the process whereby the farmer is trying to control pests on the farm, he has to buy insecticide. So buying insecticide will increase the cost of production of the crop, because normally you should just plant the crop and get out of there, but now it's going to be buying what? Insecticides, buying pesticides, buying herbicides. So all these insecticide and pest control methods will increase the what? The cost of production, thereby increasing the what? The cost of the goods. So now we have talked about specimen H and I very well. So now we should talk about specimen J, which is the grasshopper, and we should also talk about specimen K, which is cotton stainer. I will not talk too much on that, but before that, let's talk about ways of controlling specimen H. So I have 7 ways of controlling specimen H here with me. I'll be giving you the 7, but in the exam you should know that they will not ask you more than 5. So you just need to know like 5 out of the 7. Number 1, use of dry hot pepper. So you can use dry hot pepper to control maize weevil. You can also store your maize in a airtight container. Storing it will what? Will control the what? Maize weevil. Maize weevil will not be able to penetrate through the what? Through the container if it is what? Airtight. Use of appropriate insecticides. So use of appropriate insecticide can control maize weevil. Since maize weevil is a what? Is an insect. So the best chemical to use to control chemical method is what? Insecticides. Another way of controlling maize is early harvesting. So if we harvest our maize early on time, maize weevil will not be able to infest our crops, our maize seeds. Fumigating maize in store. So when we store our maize, most times when maize weevil attacks our maize grains is in the storage room or when it's in storage. So the next point under ways of controlling maize weevil is use of deep freezer. So we can use deep freezer to control maize weevil, as those maize weevil will not be able to survive under very low temperature. Same goes for heat treatment. So heat treatment is also another way of controlling maize weevil. The way maize weevil cannot survive at extremely low temperature, they cannot also survive under what? Extremely high temperature. There is a level of temperature that if you increase the heat, if there is heat applied, they will not be able to survive in such environment. So heat treatment is also another way of controlling maize weevil. Then another question you should be expecting in your exam is mention 3 ways in which specimen I is economically important. We have talked about that already. Specimen I is being beetle. He said destruction of viability, or destroys the viability of seed, reduces market value of crops, food shortage, increased cost of production due to cost of pesticides or insecticides. So that is that. I already said that before now, that if you want economic importance of the two of them, both maize weevil and bee beetle are having the same economic importance, very similar economic importance. They can go interchangeably. So the next question I want to talk about, I want to take specimen HIJKL IJK, specimen HIJK. I want to take the 4 of them into consideration now. A question that can cover the 4 specimens together at once. You can be asked in the exam that you should mention the feeding habits of specimen HIJK. When they talk about feeding habits, they are talking about their mouth parts, the way they chew. Is it chewing and biting? Is it biting and chewing? Is it boring? Is it piercing and sucking? Is it chewing only? Is it boring only? So let's start with specimen H. Specimen H is our maize weevil, and the feeding habit is biting and chewing. Biting and chewing. So maize weevil is biting and chewing. Specimen I is bee beetle, and the feeding habit is boring. It's a boring pest. Boring. So it bores hole into the what? Into the beans. So the next specimen here is specimen J, grasshopper, and the feeding habit is biting and chewing. Biting and chewing. Specimen K is our cotton stainer. That's the only specimen there that, the only organism there that is a piercing and sucking insect. Specimen K is what? Cotton stainer, and it's a piercing and sucking insect. It only attacks cotton crops, cotton plants. So that is specimen K. So that is all on specimen HIJK. I'm going to be moving to specimen LMN now. The specimen N is the tilapia, specimen M hay, specimen N fish meal. So in the exam you can be told to draw specimen N, that is your tilapia. you might be told to draw specimen L. So make sure you go to the exam with your HB pencil and your 2B pencil. Your HB pencil is for drawing the specimen, your 2B pencil is for what? For labeling the specimen. It's not very compulsory, but make sure you go with a well sharpened pencil for neat drawing. The next question here is question 3bii. List 4 characteristics of specimen L which makes it culturable. So specimen L is about tilapia, and we are told that we should list 4 characteristics of specimen L which makes it culturable. I'm going to be giving you 6 characteristics, so you can just pick 5 and cram it. The first characteristic is that ability to breed in captivity. So one of the characteristics of tilapia that makes it culturable is that it can breed in captivity. Another characteristic that it tolerates poor water quality. Poor water quality. When you are talking about poor water quality, if the thing is low in oxygen, tilapia will not survive very well there. But if the water quality is poor and it has a good oxygen supply, there's enough water oxygen, then the tilapia will survive there. So specimen L is able to survive in water with what? With poor water quality. Another characteristic of specimen L that makes it culturable is that it is acceptable to consumers. We all eat tilapia fish, so it is acceptable to consumers. Another characteristic that makes it culturable is that it has high resistance to diseases. That means it does the tilapia fish, they don't just contract diseases anyhow, so they have high resistance to diseases. Another characteristic that makes it culturable is that early mature, it matures very fast. Tilapia fish, they grow very fast. Early maturity, matures very early. Another characteristic that makes it culturable is it accepts artificial feed. So all those feeds that are being sold in the various shop, fish feeds, tilapia fish accepts artificial feed. So I have discussed specimen L very well enough. Specimen AM, you should know that specimen M is a feed. Hay is dry grass. So dry grass, so they will bundle it together. So that is what is called hay. Hay are used to prepare feeds for different animals. So that's your specimen M is hay. Hay is a feed. We don't call it food. When in Agric, when it's for animals, we call it what? Feed, not food. Feed. So another question you should expect in your exam is that how can you prepare specimen N from specimen L? So you want to prepare fish meal from tilapia. Specimen N from specimen L. So how can you prepare your tilapia into fish meal? Number 1 step, there are 6 steps there. Number 1 is that you should cook your what? Specimen L, your tilapia, you should cook it. Step 2 is what? You should press it. So when you press it, the oil will come out of it and water will come out of it. The 3rd step is separate the liquid into oil and water. So we are going to be separating the oil from the tilapia and from the what? From the water. The next step is evaporate the water into a concentrate. The next step is what? Is to dry it. Then the last step is to what? Grind it, and then we have our what? Our fish meal. So I've given you 3 steps there. Number 1 cook, number 3 press, number 3 step separate, number 4 step evaporate, number 5 step dry, number 6 step grind. So I've given you 6 steps. So these are all you need for your Agric practical exam. There are other questions, but I just gave you the vital ones, the ones that are very likely to come out in your exam. So that is all on 2024 WAEC Agric practical specimen. If you have any question or you have any contribution, you can contribute through the comment section. If you have any question, forward it to my WhatsApp at 0903-234-7323. And this is to inform you that your WAEC assistant subscription is currently ongoing for 2024. And if you are watching this video against 2025 WAEC exam, you can also DM me on WhatsApp for your 2025 WAEC assistance. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video. That was very important. Thank you very much for watching this video once again.